Stalker, giant stalker, dragon stalker, crypt stalker, demon stalker, rift stalker, grom stalker, crypt stalker, scourge stalker, wind runner. I'm a pony, elite skill hunter. A death dealer, a life stealer. That's just the cost of being awesome sauce.
Welcome to episode 250 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I'm Dark Brew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter. And I think that's all that I am today. I guess I'm Delirium, Bendek, and Roger Brown as well. So everyone is, a lot of folks MIA today. We might get Delirium later on in the show. I think he's trying to make a mad dash back home to join us. Bendek's not available today. And Roger Brown is on, what was it, Final Boss TV today? Final Boss TV. So where are the priorities?
Yes. Good news for hunters this week.
Yes, and Foxy's...
And also, I'm Ollie Sonder from the Hunting Party Podcast chat room.
Of course. And Foxy's here in the chat room. She's lost her voice today, so she's not going to even try and talk. That's okay. But welcome. Good to see you in the chat room anyway. So today is Sunday, December the 4th, 2016, and we are broadcasting live on twitch.tv. You can participate in the live chat room where our lovely moderator, Ollie Sonder, is there to take your questions. And hopefully you guys will ask us a lot of questions because we have a great guest today. And no, hell has not frozen over, although it is December, so that chill in the air might be the December and winter. It's snowing in some of these cities for football games, I've noticed today. But believe it or not, we are going to talk about two things that you don't expect us to talk about usually. And I think that's going to be PvP for sure, and survival hunters as well, because joining us this week is just an extraordinary PvP player and PvP hunter, and that is Dilly. And Dilly, welcome back to the Hunting Party Podcast. I guess only your second appearance, I believe, which is shocking.
Definitely the second time, but I've met Delirium quite a few times already. I think I've seen him like 3 years in a row at BlizzCon, something about that. So I'm familiar with him and most of you, so...
Yeah. Well, no, it was great. Yes, it was. It was good to see you at the Hunter meetup there this year over at BlizzCon. It was a good time. Good to catch up as always. So, but welcome back. Welcome back to the Hunting Party Podcast.
Yeah, thank you.
So, let's just get right to it then, and just talk about PvP. And so, how has PvP been in Legion so far? What's your impressions of it thus far?
I think right now, Strong Hunters are actually so strong. Is actually crazy. And they were really bad at first because, like, half of your spells were just bugged. Like, half of them didn't work, and like there were just so many like quality of life issues. But they fixed most of them, and then they end up making some of the things that are really hard for you a lot weaker. So right now, I actually say that they're stronger right now than Hunters were last expansion. Like they seem in a really good spot right now. Like. Yeah.
And compared to some of the other classes, I mean, where do they seem to rank up? I mean, are there a lot of groups with hunters right now, or not so much?
Well, especially like on the European servers, Sorrel Hunter, Red Paladin, Rested Druid is like the best comp right now. Part of it's because everyone's alliance, the PvP is on EU, and everyone on NA plays on Horde, so being alliance is pretty big. Most of the things that counter you, they don't really exist because they have to be Horde for them. Like Restoration Shaman compositions aren't as strong if they're Alliance because they don't have that Orc racial. So those are like the one things that do well against you. So on Europe, there's nothing that really beats you at all. So they just kind of run wild and stomp everyone. There's only a few on US, so it's not that bad.
So how big of a difference does faction make? I mean, Alliance versus Horde for the PvP?
I think it's kind of make and break depending on your classes. Like I said, with Shamans, they don't really have many good options for races on Alliance because they don't really have that human. So Orc and Human are kind of pretty equal as terms of strengths as racials, but if you're a Shaman, you can only play Orc, so if you're having to play Dwarf, like, it's such a huge disadvantage compared to just being Horde. So the strength of that class goes down tremendously if, whatever region it is favored heavily to one faction or the other. But, for things like Hunters, you can play Alliance or Horde, so both are pretty good. Usually Human racial is good because they have a 2-minute stun breaker, so then you can play some of the newer PvP options that they have. Like they have a talent called Adaptation. So every time you get put in a 5-second CC, it'll just automatically break you out of it with a 1-minute cooldown. So you have so many ways to break out of CC. Or if you're Horde and you're an Orc, you have the stun reduction, and then there's another talent that's Relentless, and those two go well together because they basically, the Relentless talent is a 20% control reduction, so putting those together, stuns don't last long on you. And those are the only things that really kill you is the hunters, being caught on that stun. So either one of those, you never really get stunned full. So they make such a big difference. But if you can play both, then obviously you have a cover for both of those.
Right. Now, I'm just curious. I mean, oh, go ahead, Ali.
Well, just to back it up for a second, when we talk about PvP, you're talking mostly about arena, but does it cover all kinds of PvP as well? What you're going to talk about?
Yeah, I would say it covers everything because, I mean, racials, like both those racials are good even in world PvP because, if you fight some class 1-on-1 and they have a stun that can kill you, you are going to be in so much trouble regardless. So I think having that is just big for hunters in general. So anytime I'm in world PvP, it feels like they're pretty strong, honestly. 1v1 or, no matter what the situation, I usually feel like most of the classes just kind of get destroyed.
And then correct me if I'm wrong. I'm trying to think back because I didn't get a chance to catch all the finals, at least in the PvP back at BlizzCon with the championships there. But was there any of those comps have hunters? I mean, how well were they represented this year? At BlizzCon?
Oh yeah, the winning team had a hunter.
Yeah,
but
I thought so.
He was playing Beast Mastery. It was his first day playing it. And he won BlizzCon with it, so it was
his first day playing it. So it's not something he even practiced with. Wow.
Yeah, well, VM Hunter and PvP it's like pretty like it's if you can play the game, like you can generally pick up that in like a day and you'll be fine because most of what you have to do like in PvP as VM is a lot simpler than you would have to do in PvE, I would say, because you don't really have any utility. You kind of just damage. So he just has 2 buttons, just Cobra Shot and Kill Command to press, and they win games. So after he won, we were talking about it. We were laughing because he was asking me like, what pets do I take like the day before, and I'm like, take this pet and you'll be good to go. And he's like, okay, cool. And
what did you? Yeah, and what did you end up recommending for a pet?
I told him to take the Scorpid because Scorpids have a healing reduction, and most people think that you go with the Devil Soar because it has the same thing too and it's an exotic pet, but for some reason its healing reduction doesn't last as long as say like a Scorpid or a Carrion Bird or a River Beast pet. So I just said, yeah, just take one of those. It's actually better than the Devil Soar. He's like, okay, sick. So then he just went with that. So I saw him winning with the little Scorpion.
No, that's cool. So now you play survival primarily, correct?
Yeah. I pretty much only play survival hunter.
And was it that way from the get-go? Did you sort of know that's what you were going to do going into Legion? Or so what prompted you to pick survival? Was it just because, in your opinion, it's just the best spec for PvP, or you really wanted to play a melee hunter? So what attracted you to survival?
Well, initially, I felt like the other hunter specs, like, I don't know, they didn't feel like hunters to me because they didn't have traps or freedom. Like, a lot of the things that I really used to like about hunter was always having a bunch of utility. And the range hunter specs really didn't have that much utility. They were mostly like damage bots. So as soon as I saw survival like in alpha, I'm like, this actually feels fun because when I was playing BM, I don't know, it felt really boring for me. Like I was thinking of re-rolling other classes because I just was not having fun as BM hunter. But I started playing survival off of a friend's recommendation, and I was like, wow, this is actually really, really fun. So me and one of the other rank 100s, he lives in my state, and we just started playing it a lot. So yeah, okay, Elbereth in the chat, he's the one that recommended it to me. He's mean, he's a bully.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. Yeah, you said Elbereth said you didn't play SV in alpha until I told you to. That's funny.
Yeah,
and then you were hooked.
True. Yeah, he recommended that I should play it, so I tried it out and I actually loved it.
So were you just planning to ignore it for the most part, do you think? I mean, if he hadn't told you that, or do you think you'd have found it eventually, or you just would have been like everybody else? It seems like, at least to us, we just sort of looked at it and said, yeah, I don't think so. We like being ranged.
I would have just played my Shadow Priest if you didn't tell me that. Like,
say it isn't so.
Yeah, I just wasn't having fun with it. Like, it just was like, man, this is so boring. Like, I don't know. I wasn't having fun with the other hunter specs, but yeah, definitely. If you didn't tell me to play Survival, I would not have played it. Or if I had, I think if I had qualified for BlizzCon, there would have been no chance that I played Survival Hunter either. So, I think not qualifying for a tournament probably is the other reason why I'm playing it. Because otherwise, my teammates would have been like, "Nah, don't play Survival. Like, we want you to play BM." So I wouldn't have taken the time to learn it.
So what is it about Survival then for PvP that you like? I mean, is it just because it's fun, or what does it bring now to PvP that say, and what makes it better than the other two specs?
Well, it just has so much more utility. Like, even in 7.15, they're giving all the hunter specs trap, but even to just say for now, you have your freezing trap, and then you have this honor talent called Tracker's Net, which is actually really, really crazy. It's a 6-second root. It's undispellable on a 10-second cooldown, but it actually makes them have like an 80% physical miss chance. So it's like super good if I fight things like a Windwalker monk. If I actually do it like right before they Fist of Fury, they'll pretty much miss the entire stun. So that's like pretty game breaking. Windwalker monks are popular. Always get rage messages after the games from them. And then also you have Call Drops, that talent. It's like a 70% AoE snare. So you have that, you have normal traps, you have that root, you have option to a silence in one of your honor talents. So you just have all kinds of crazy utility, and people pretty much just get annoyed because they don't get to play their character.
So you're just keeping them rooted and stunned and locked up. I mean, how long can you kind of lock down a particular player as Survival?
Usually, like if say I'm fighting like, maybe it's like a Windwalker monk team, usually we'll go on their healer, so then the Windwalker will get rooted, and then he'll get trapped, and then he'll get rooted out of that, and then he'll have to go through the 70% slow, and then his healer is trying to run from the 70% slow, and then you do pretty good damage, honestly, on healers, so yeah, and then they have to juke 2 melees, like trying to interrupt them on their cast, so no one's having a good time. It's pretty good.
And so are you mostly, like, how much time are you spending doing damaging and DPS, or is your primary role here just to kind of annoy people, if you will, keep them locked down, and then let your teammates kind of do or your other DPS, if you're looking at like an arena situation, kind of take out the other players?
It really depends on the matchup, because there's some matchups where I might not have much uptime on them, but like that Windwalker monk example is like the best one. Usually Windwalker monk teams, like you can't really hit the DPS, and you'll have good uptime on them, but you just get killed. So usually it's better to run at their healer. But I definitely lose a lot of damage doing that. But then also they lose a lot of damage, so it kind of just becomes, we stop them from being able to kill us, and then eventually my partners will kill them. But there's other things, like maybe a Warlock team, you have a really high uptime, and then I'll just be sitting on the Warlock, and the only CC I'm throwing out is just, a trap on the healer, and other than that, I'm just doing damage, and most of the time I can out damage my partners if I'm just straight sitting on a target.
And how is sort of the artifact weapon factored into PvP?
Okay, well, the skill is like kind of bad damage-wise, but it's still useful, because usually, like, it's already hard to get to 6 stacks of your Mongoose Fury. So you get your 6 stacks, but if someone kites you when you're at 6 stacks, like that's when I'll use it, so that I can still maybe get in those extra Mongoose bites, because those are what actually hits hard, not really the artifact skills. So I can maybe give myself time to do that. Or if I ever run out of the charges, then I'll just do that just to delay, because during that whole channel your buff won't fall off. So it's a little bit nice. It's just that little delay. It honestly doesn't do that much damage though.
Yeah, I mean, and keep in mind here, like, I completely stay away from PvP, so I just assumed you're using the artifact weapon for PvP, because it's so, they made such a big deal about it. But I mean, I could be wrong here, but I didn't think there might be like special PvP weapons specifically this time around.
Oh no, yeah, it's the same artifact, yeah.
Yeah,
the little eagle animation. I mean, at least it looks cool.
Mm-hmm. So in order to kind of gear up, so part of your PvP progression then is leveling up that weapon. You know, you're sort of having to do your world quests and things like that, correct?
Yeah, I'm pretty much maxed out is where I want to be. Like I got all my useful traits at this point. Past or in PvP, it doesn't let you go past 34 traits, so you won't get the bonus from that extra % damage. So once you have the 34 traits, like you're good to go.
So I have a real quick question for you. What transmog are you using?
Oh, I have the Cataclysm, one of the PvP sets, the Elite set. I use it. Hold on, maybe I have a link to it.
Is it
It's like red here.
Is it like season something?
Yeah, it's season 10. That one.
Oh, Brutal Gladiator? Is that Brutal one?
No, it's Ruthless.
Ruthless. Oh.
It's got like, if you have the helm on it, it's like looks like the Donnie Darko bunny mask thing. It looks kind of sick.
Do you do a lot of transmog or just go with one that you like?
Yeah, I actually have like a million transmogs in my back, but for some reason I can only PvP with this mog. I don't know why. I actually suck at PvP when I use my other mogs, but I have the other ones that I use like if I'm just hanging out. But yeah, if I'm only doing PvP, like I don't know what it is. It's like my good luck charm or something. I just stick with that one and I win. When I use other ones, I lose. So something about looking good means you win, I think.
It certainly makes you feel good, right? You know, you feel good about your character. You know, kind of, makes you like your character, appreciate it a little bit more. So it's probably those small things. But once you're playing at a high level, sometimes those small things can make pretty large differences.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta look good to play good.
So what race is your hunter? We were talking about factions before. I meant to ask. So what are you playing for your hunter?
I'm playing Orc right now.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could play Night Elf aesthetically, but Orc's the best right now, so staying with the Orc until I can play Night Elf again.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And then for what do you mostly participate in for PvP? What do you do primarily?
I guess I do 3s the most, but well, actually I don't know. I probably do more 2s than 3s, but 2s games are so much longer that like if I look at the games played, I have more 3s games. But 3s games can be like a minute to 2 minutes, but some of my 2s games are like maybe like 15 minutes long, so it's actually hard to say which one. But usually all arenas, and I occasionally just do like RBGs just for fun. But I'm actually so bad at RBGs that I cannot pay attention to them. Like I get distracted at sitting at a base and I'll tap out and then someone casts on me and then everyone's mad at me. I'm like, oh. Not being able to do something
part of the show.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm free to admit it. My girlfriend yells at me. She's like, "Why? What? How are you this rank 100 and getting capped on a base?" I'm like, I'm tapped out."
Nice. Well, hopefully. Well, I don't know if your teammates are listening to the show. You just tell them you're kidding, right? No, just kidding. I'm actually.
Oh, my teammates hate me. There's a very big love-hate relationship. There are times where I space out. I had a big space out yesterday. My teammates were making fun of me the whole night. I joined the enemy team for a bit and I threw a game that I shouldn't have. So the whole day they were saying, "Oh, I hope you don't join the enemy team this game." Like, yeah. I ran into their side of the map. My team went on the other side of the map, and then I just died alone. And I just sat there and was like, "Oh." My bad, guys.
Was that die or feign die?
Oh no, it was a die. It was a dead rat on the ground die. And my team just sitting there, like, why do you do this to us?
Well, before the show, we talked a little bit. You're a multi-rank 1 hunter. So over the years of doing this, how do you work out the differences between? Okay, now I'm an orc. Well, now I need to be a blood elf, or now I need to be a Tauren hunter. How do you decide each season what you need to be? I mean, theorycraft, or how does that work?
Usually Every expansion, people just like to be like, oh, I'm gonna be Alliance this expansion. I'll be Horde this one. So last one, everyone was Alliance. The other one, everyone was Horde. But usually, it's been pretty consistent. Like if you're Horde, you could play Orc or Blood Elf for hunters, and if you're Alliance, you could be, Human or Night Elf. But right now, I think hunters are kind of squishy, so you're sort of just forced to have something that gets you, does something for stuns. So Orc and Human are usually better defensively, and then Night Elf and Blood Elf, they're just more, not really reliable, but sometimes they come in clutch racials. But generally speaking, it's pretty consistent on which one's like the safest option. So I'll stick with that one, and then everyone just keeps doing the same thing. So people generally will funnel into one faction or one race on the faction rather.
So how do you manage that? Do you just have like multiple hunters that are kind of at the ready, or do you just actually have to sit there and do your faction changes, do your race changes, and so forth with your one hunter?
I sadly do many race change or many faction changes. I guess one faction change every 2 years isn't too bad, and then I'm like, oh, but I also have my mage, and then I have my shadow. Oh, this character should go there too. Maybe I want to play that. And then I just never end up playing them as much as my hunter, and I'm like, wow, I just wasted all that money.
Cool. And then what pet are you using? Because I know you'd mentioned the Scorpid that you recommended for the one guy that was playing BM at BlizzCon. But how about you for your survival hunter? What pet do you usually bring? Or
I still bring that Scorpid. I bring that.
Do you just do that exclusively, or are there other pets that you bring along as well for different situations?
The situation, as far as pets utility go, they're actually pretty limited nowadays. So the Scorpid's like the only one that has a healing reduction, and that's pretty much the only thing you'd want to bring. Like you can't bring a Bloodlust and Reno, you can't bring the Battle Res. There's no pets that have CC outside of the spiders that have the slow, but you already have a really good slow as a survival hunter, so that one's not really necessary either. So it's pretty much that one choice. You're kind of limited to it. So.
Yeah, with all the changes to buffs and debuffs and everything this time around, the pets are in just sort of a weird place, and you've got a lot of them that just don't seem to do much of anything. And then if you got something that does, well, something, it becomes desirable for that particular situation, like you're seeing in PvP.
Yeah.
So I mean, you never want to remove utility like that, or you wonder if there are other utilities that they can add back to these pets. But there's so many pet families. But even if you had overlap, I think that would be okay.
Yeah, I mean, because there's like a couple pets that have the same buff. It's like how the Scorpids like they match the transmog better. That's the important part.
And historically, cunning pets have sort of been the best options for PvP. Is that still the case now?
Yeah, cunning pets are still the best. I do miss the tenacity wrath pet. When you used to have the crabs, they used to have intervene, like a warrior's intervene. That was sick. Because you could fight like a rogue, and if he was gonna stun you, you could use the crabs intervene, and then your pet would get stunned instead, and it'd be like, oh, that was sick. But
that was cool. And then just think back then if they'd had that little item that could make the crabs, wield the knife, like they do now. That would have been.
They
awesome.
Actually have that. That's sick.
I forget what it's called, but yes, there's something you can get that.
I didn't know until this. That's actually so sick. I want that. I'll roleplay with that.
Yeah.
Do your crabs and scorpions, do they match your transmog, or does that desire to have like the right set not extend that far?
It doesn't extend that far. I just have that one scorpion that matches it, but I used to have like the little raven before, like the little tiny bird, but they changed how it looks, so now I don't use it anymore. It was like, I can't remember. I think it's the ones that you get in Kunlai Summit, but now they look weird now. I don't know.
Yeah, they changed the look for, I think ravens were one of the models that got updated this time around.
Yeah, I'm so sad. I liked it. They were like little tiny crows. They were so sick. Now they're all big. I used to like it because then it'd be annoying if people tried to kill my pet because it'd just be like that little tiny model.
Yes. So looking again,
crows. Murder of Crows or Barrage?
I don't even have Barrage. I don't use crows though. I have Snake Hunter and Survival. But if it's between crows and Barrage and Marksman, definitely crows. Crows Chris is my favorite ability, even though I don't take it anymore. But still, Chris owns.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. So, for like the PVE talents, and we'll talk about the honor talents in a minute. But what do you take for the regular talents that you find useful in PvP?
Yeah, I take throwing axes, snake hunter, post haste, call drops, camo, dragon star grenade, and expert trapper. Like those are actually like super cookie cutter. Sometimes I take crows instead of snake hunter, but it's only if I'm gonna have like 0 uptime at all. Because if you have any uptime, snake hunter is better, I think. But yeah, everything else is really cookie cutter.
Yeah, and snake hunter that's the one that instantly grants you 3 charges of mongoose bite, and it's actually an actual ability with a 1.5 minute cooldown.
Yeah.
So do you just use that on cooldown, or do you wait for certain situations, or?
Yeah, I use it with the aspect of the eagle, because the aspect of the eagle like gives you 30% damage when you activate it, and that crit bonus, and an extra chance to generate mongoose bite charges. So the burst is I'll use 3 mongoose bite charges, and then I'll snake hunter, and then use the aspect of the eagle. So they already have, the mongoose bites are already stronger at that point, and then that last like 10 seconds of my mongoose bite window has the 10-second buff from the aspect of the eagle. So that's like some of the biggest bursts. And people have like 2 million-ish health pools, and you can get a couple 500k mongoose bites in, so it's pretty good damage if you actually line it up and no one controls you. So most of it is just waiting for that one moment that no one peels you, and then they just die, and then they're mad. And they whisper to you like, dude, what the heck? What is survival hunters? That's my favorite part about it.
Yeah, are people surprised to see like a survival hunter? I mean, they just kind of did they not take it seriously? They look survival. It's like, oh, this guy. I mean, it's probably, I guess it's different with the arena stuff when you're doing, the rank things. People just know players are good. But I mean, when you're doing other more casual stuff, do people just kind of say, oh, survival hunter, and just maybe go after you because they figure this easy pickings?
Yeah, it definitely was like that at first. At first, no one would play with me. It was actually so annoying. No one would play with me. They're like, dude, you're trolling. Like, you're a survival hunter. Like, what's with you? I'm like, dude, I promise it'll be so good whenever they fix like some bugs and stuff. And then they fix the bugs, and I'm just owning everyone now. And they're like, oh, dude, want to play? And I'm just like, no, what the heck? You don't want to play with me when it sucks. Screw you. Like, so now I just have like my small little group of friends that believed in the survival hunter dream before. And now they complain about how annoying it is to fight survival hunters now.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've seen 2 out in the world since this expansion dropped.
Yeah.
They are few and far between.
Yeah, they are very unpopular, but they have gotten pretty popular in PvP now, at least. Like, people recognize them as the strongest spec to play now, so...
But yeah, I mean, you're playing him in PvP and in Solar. He's playing it in PvP. Or PvE, I should say. He's raiding with it. I saw you guys hooked up. We got to say hi to each other at BlizzCon. I think you guys tweeted out a picture like the only 2 survival hunters or something like that. But it was great.
Yeah.
Great to see that.
We've been talking about it a lot. I always send him like little Twitter messages about survival hunters.
So honor talent. So what are you taking for your honor talents?
Okay, so because I'm an orc, there's that first tier of talents. You have the normal gladiator medallion, just 2-minute CC break. The other one's adaptation, which is that 1-minute automatic CC break. And then there's relentless. But usually with an orc, you want to always take relentless. The only other option I take is sometimes versus Shadow Priest teams, I take the adaptation because some Shadow Priest teams, they might not have as many stuns. So breaking out of the fears are nice because my healer usually can't dispel me because they have a vampiric touch, so they dispel me and then they get controlled. So sometimes it's not as good for them to dispel me. So yeah, I just go with that one. Get out of the fears every 1 minute. So every other one, I don't sit full.
And then the next row, you've got hardiness, reinforced armor, and sparring. Which of those 3?
I take the reinforced armor. The bonus health is nice because you already have high health of survival. So, one of your big defenses is the exhilaration cooldown. So since you have more HP, it just gives you a bigger heal. So I stick to that one more than any of the other options. I I used to take sparring before, but they gave hunters a bit of a HP buff in PvP. So now I've pretty much stuck with the reinforced armor after that point, just because that bonus on acceleration is huge. And then after that, I'm trying to remember the next row.
It's a dragon scale armor, cat-like reflexes, and survival tactics.
Oh, okay. So versus like wizards or Death Knight teams, I take the survival tactics. So versus spellcasters, like if a warlock casts a chaos bolt on you, you can let the chaos bolt go off and then you feign death and then the chaos bolt does no damage. Or if a warlock has a bunch of unstable afflictions on you, you can take them all off with the feign death. So
yeah,
and just
for
really
those
strong.
Yeah, for those who don't know, feign death removes all harmful magical effects and reduces the damage taken by 99% for 1.5 seconds. That's what survival tactics does.
Yeah. So that's why it's really good versus warlocks, because they're unstable affliction. Usually you take damage when you dispel it. So because you have the 99% damage reduction too on top of that magic dispel, you basically are able to completely nullify it. And then it can be nice too if you're in maybe a mage's ice nova or just any kind of route. You can also break out of it, so it's good for mobility and for avoiding damage. And then the other option is versus sometimes if I fight a warrior, I'll take the cat-like reflexes. It's actually a pretty high dodge chance. It's like whenever you crit, you have 30% dodge chance, so it makes it really hard for you to die versus them. So I take one or the other, just depending on what I fight.
Cool. And then the next row is you've got Viper Sting, Scorpid Sting, and Spider Sting. So that's your row of stings.
Okay, the first two are pretty bad, but I mean sometimes they're better than the Spider Sting, but they're so bad. I'm just way too lazy to ever swap it, so I just take Spider Sting and I just leave it as that, even if it's not useful versus the team I'm fighting, because yeah, I haven't figured out a way to set up a macro for all of them in there. They'll have like focus and target on it, so I was just like, yeah, screw this. I don't need to waste my time on this. I think the next row, that one is that Mending Bandage, Freedom? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's a Hunting Pack, Mending Bandage, and Master's Call. Master's Call was always, unless that's changed, that was always a popular one.
Yeah. I pretty much 99% of the time take Master's Call, except versus Feral Druids. And then I play Mending Bandage because it dispels all their bleeds. So Feral Druids right now, they try to bleed as many people as possible. So if I take off all their bleeds, then my healer doesn't have to worry about me as much. But yeah, other than that, you take Master's Call. The other one is, we don't talk about Hunting Pack or whatever it is.
Well, Hunting Pack, what is it? It reduces the cooldown of your aspect of the cheetah by 50%. And aspect of the cheetah also causes all allies within 15 yards to gain 90% movement speed for 3 seconds. So I guess that can be useful, but it doesn't sound like it's as...
I mean, you don't have Master's Call, so you're just going to be slowed anyways when you use it. So it's like, it's so pointless. And I think the last one, that's was that the Sticky Tar?
Yeah, Sticky Tar, Diamond Ice, and Tracker's Net.
Okay, I'd say 80% of the time you take Tracker's Net. Sometimes when I fight like a Feral Druid, and yeah, 2 Feral Druids used to be popular. So when I'd fight 2 Feral Druids, the Tracker's Net wasn't really useful on them. So we would just go on their healer, and I play the Diamond Ice, so they can't dispel them out of that, and the roots aren't useful on them, so that was pretty good. And then sometimes the Sticky Tar can be good versus melee if they're going to always be in that call drop, so they're not going to do as much damage to you. But that's more of something I take maybe in 2v2, not really in 3v3. In 3v3, it's usually either the Tracker's Net or the Diamond Ice. But yeah, a lot of your talents are cookie cutter with the Survival Hunter. It sort of sucks because you don't have as many options as you would like to have. I feel like some of their talents are just like, oh yeah, this talent's just either this sounds good and this one's terrible, or just nothing else works.
Yeah, and I don't think that's just Survival Hunter in PvP. I mean, we've talked about this on other episodes about marksmanship and some of their talents that just seem completely mandatory to the point where you don't even think about taking anything else, like the patient sniper.
Oh yeah.
And those Sidewinder builds just seem to be like the, cookie cutter build, and that there's no other options. So we'll see if that changes in 7.1.5. It's
Yeah, definitely. Hunters definitely seems super limited in that regard, I think. Like certain classes, if they at least have maybe cookie cutter specific talents, like in PvP, their PvP talents are usually somewhat dynamic. Like you have different options you can take, like, oh, this is cool here, this is cool there. But for hunters, it's like, okay, yeah, you just take this one and don't change it, and you're good to go.
So looking at other, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I guess it's probably good for me because I honestly totally forget to change my talents. Like whenever I have to, I'm just like, oh man, I forgot to change my talent.
So do you have the same restrictions for PvP, changing those talents that you do in PvE?
Yeah. You're actually able to do it in the starting gates of a battleground, arena match, whatever it is. You have time to swap your talents and specs, whatever. So in arena, like what composition you're fighting in the starting gate, so you have time to change your talents around that matchup. So yeah, that's where I always forget. I tab out while I'm in the gates, and then I'm like, oh crap, forgot to swap my talents, and then my team's mad at me.
So looking at some of the other classes, I mean, which ones do you think like survival hunters do really well against, and which ones are you look at like, oh gosh, one of these, or are there any that you worry about more than others?
Oh yeah, definitely. So if I see a holy paladin or I see a warlock, I'm usually happy. I just ride them all day and they're unhappy, and that's pretty good for me. But usually shadow priests are pretty hard. Either shadow priest playing with like a mage I just never play. I can never kill anyone. It's not a good time. Or a shadow priest with a restoration shaman. Yeah, I play my character, just no one ever dies, so it's one or the other. But shadow priests definitely are the strongest class against survival hunters. They make my life pretty miserable. I can't kill them. I can't kill their team. They kill me. It's just not a good time.
And then what about some of the other classes? Death Knights, or do you do well against the other plate wearers, or how does it compare?
It kind of depends. Like everything else, I feel like I have like a really strong chance against like certain popular compositions are maybe like Windwalker, Death Knight with a healer. Usually it's a Holy Paladin, so I usually feel good against that because like the ways they do damage, if I play really well, I can avoid it. I mean, if I mess up, like we lose the game instantly. But I mean, if I play well, we'll always win. So I feel pretty comfortable and stuff like that, which is really popular. A lot of the matchups are kind of like that. If you play badly as a survival hunter or make mistakes, you're gonna lose. But if you do play well, like it's not too hard to stay consistent, I guess. So then you'll mostly just win if you know what the right strat is. Yeah, mainly it's just fighting those shadow priests. They really feel hopeless to fight. But definitely other plate wearers, like you usually can either control them really hard, like they won't get much damage out. All that utility you have really shuts them down between the rooting them and running through the 70% slow. Like even though I'm melee, a lot of the time I'll play like a range hunter and kite people and just wait for that opportunity that, okay, I know they don't really have that much damage for me. I've kited them out. It's safe for me to go in, and then I can stay aggressive. So it's not like the generic melee. You just run in and keep attacking them and don't get off. It's kind of the mix of playing like a ranged and a melee hunter.
Right. And then legendaries. I mean, how do they factor into PvP? Do you have any legendaries? Are there any that seem particularly useful there versus just your regular PvP gear?
They do not work in PvP, but okay. You get the item level increase from them, and I do have two. I just randomly got them this week. I actually got so lucky with gear this week. Last week I was like 870 item level. This week I'm 86 item level. Yeah. So I got two legendaries.
Wow. What did you get?
The worst ones, like I Pride as the neck thing that's like that absorb shield, and I got he's nesting where he's trapping Trez. When I gained 15 focus, whenever my trap's triggered, like I don't know how this is useful at all. So both of those are pretty bad, but at least I get the item level increase.
Yep, fair enough. So with 7.1.5, have you been looked at that? Have you gone onto the PTR at all? Have you tried any of the changes? Which changes are you aware of that are coming that might impact survival in PvP, or even the other hunters in PvP? But we'll stick with survival first.
I know they're making an explosive trap. It's not gonna place on your feet. You have to click it now. Like you have to aim it. It has a longer range, but I feel like that's gonna be awkward since that's one of your main damage abilities. Like middle of the fight, I'm just gonna be aiming that for damage. But they did have Waylay initially, which is so bad. Oh my god! And they made the trap cooldowns longer too because you had a Waylay, and then they made it on your damage. But they reverted that. That was gonna be the worst change. So now.
Yeah. So what was the Waylay change? I was away the last couple weeks, and I was trying to get caught up. So what happened with that? But I heard there was a lot of unhappiness surrounding that, and it sounds like cries have been heard. But what were they proposing with that?
Okay, well, the way Waylay works is you have your trap arm for 2 seconds, and then it gets a bonus effect, right? So it has to be on the ground for 2 seconds. So that means someone has to be led into it, something like that, right? You can't just use them normally. But they had it, making it so, okay, well, since you have this bonus, we're going to make the cooldown on your traps longer. So everyone was going to have 40-second cooldown traps instead of 30 seconds, which is, like, so bad. And then, also, Explosive Trap is one of your biggest damage abilities, right? Like, that's, like, one of your bread and butter damage spells as survival. So, not only do they make the cooldown on that longer, but because they had it benefited from Waylay, then that means you would have had to optimally maximize your damage. You had to lead someone into that Explosive Trap that's been armed. So, like, you would have, like, your tank or whatever try to lead someone into that trap for damage, which is that just doesn't feel good no matter what. So I think they listened to the feedback and then they made it so that traps are going to be still a 30-second cooldown, and it's just going to only have a bonus on your utility spells because it's something that's going to be very rarely usable. But if you do take use of it, you'll be like, oh cool, big Waylay trap or something like that. But most of the time, traps, you have to activate them off something, like especially in PvP. Like you're not just gonna have someone randomly walk into a freezing trap. You're gonna have to be like, oh hey teammate, do you have a stun for this guy? Okay, I'm gonna freezing trap off of that. So walking people into that, very sketchy.
And of course, the other two specs, BM and marksmanship, are going to be getting some utility back in the form of traps, but not enough to make a difference, I suppose, towards PvP. I mean, I suppose they'll help a little bit, but
actually, marksman right now, it actually isn't bad. I just don't like playing it, but it's actually not too bad. And I think next patch they'll have really good utility. Like they'll have the freezing trap, they'll have the knockback trap back, and they have the bursting shot and the binding shot. So they have a lot of CC, and they have ways to kite people. It's just I don't like how they do damage. That's pretty much why I don't play marksman. The way they do damage is not fun, but you definitely can play it and do well with it. I think it'll be a lot better next patch. I don't think BM will be that well or that good with traps. Pretty much the biggest reason they were good before was one of the honor talents, the Viper and Scorpion Sting. They were basically anytime you Cobra shotted, aim shotted, or Raptor strike, you would get a 30% healing. Wait, was it? You get a healing done reduction, and then there's the healing received buff. So those two stacked up. But for marksman and survival, you don't really use Raptor strike or aim shot as much as you would in PvP as a BM hunter would Cobra shot. So it's like healers would have 60% healing reduction permanently, while the BM hunter would just be on them, and then you're just gonna heal through the damage. But they nerfed that talent, so basically BM hunters are probably gonna suck because that was all they brought to the table, and it was just Cobra shot over and over, and then you win.
And then for the people that are PvPing as marksmanship, are they doing lone wolf, or are they bringing a pet?
Oh, they're playing a pet. Yeah, they play a pet. But outside of that, I think they take the normal talents playing Sidewinders. I mean, they have good damage. They can play with Red Paladins mostly. Not as good with 2 versus 2 arena, but I mean, they still work. They're just, I don't know, they just don't really feel that fun, I guess. It seems really frustrating because you have to stand still to do your damage, and it's just weird. And a lot of your damage is like AoE from the Sidewinders, so you're gonna break your CC if you want to actually do damage during CC. So I don't know. A lot of it just it seems really contradicting, I guess.
Yeah, Sidewinders has been one of those abilities that was just sort of, everything sort of seems a bit settled now, but certainly in the beginning, I mean, this is just in PvE, you'd walk into a dungeon and pull everything, just doing your normal rotation, right? Not even trying to do like a specific AoE rotation. You know what I mean? It's just sort of just the way the spec was set up, but I think
you're kind of like auto-clicking. Yeah. I think that's why I don't like Marksman Hunter. Like, it always used to be my favorite spec to play because I really like the single target, like quick burst damage, but it really doesn't feel like the same anymore. And I don't like you don't have the steady shot anymore. I hate that it's like Sidewinders or Arcane Shot. I don't know. I actually love playing Marksman, like Cat of Wrath. Okay, everything up until WoD. I had fun playing Marksman Hunter. But then in PvP PvE Marksman Hunter was fun. It was fun in WoD too. So now it just feels so bad. I don't know. Whatever they're doing, they did something wrong.
Now, I mean, obviously you've been focused on survival. Have you gotten your other artifact weapons? Have you worked on those other specs at all? Like if something were to change, and though it's unlikely that it would, that would make you want to switch over. I mean, how much work would you have to do to get your artifact weapon up to speed?
I had a BM weapon up to like 20 because I was playing BM and survival at one point. Like when survival was really bad and BM was like the only spec, but only like with certain people. Like I would have my friends that I would play survival with, and I would like to play with them. But if I were playing with like casual friends, like I would just play BM with them just because like I don't want to hold them back playing with a bad spec if like they were just trying to play for fun or whatever. But yeah, now they're definitely not going to play that again, and my Marksman has like 0 points in it.
I mean, it will be easier to catch up, and I think 7.1.5 will even have a few more options to kind of get caught up. But yeah, it is interesting, I mean, I'm enjoying the artifact weapon, but it's one of those things where it does make you have to put a little bit more work into if you want to change your specs for whatever reason. Yeah,
definitely. I'm at least looking forward to the changes for other classes. Like I do want to play some alts, like I want to play Shadow Freeze here and there. I've been grinding it the past couple of days, so I do want to play that whenever I can play my Hunter.
Right. Very cool. So let's see. We got a question here. Ali is asking, and she's saying, for someone who PvEs but is thinking of starting PvP or at least PvP World Quest, what would you suggest? Go in at 3 a.m., go in with 39 close friends, or try duels, or roll on a PvP server? So that's always a good question for people that are just starting out. What should they ought to do, or what kinds of things should they look to do?
It depends. Like if you're doing some of the world quests, like the Warden Tower ones, like no one actually is there on the other side. Like those are honestly like PvE quests, so you can kind of just walk up to them and do them.
Yeah, I've done a few of those, and it's actually a great way to get some honor points and things, and work on your honor talents too.
Yeah, definitely. Like those are usually like the easiest ones to grind. The other ones, I have to be in the mood. I'm like, do I really want to deal with this? But I mean, even the other ones, like I think a lot of people doing those a lot are probably in the same boat, because honestly, the people that PvP a lot, like they don't really spend most of their time world questing, outside of random occasions. So most of the time, people are going to be just jumping into it as well, that are just doing those world quests. So it's not like too much to worry about, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, that's sort of another question she had was, how do you guys feel about, you guys being PvPers, feel about having to do so much PvE in Legion, like the dungeons and artifact and world quests? I mean, how much PvE do you have to do to support your PvP habit?
I don't have to do much, but I actually don't mind doing it right now.
Yeah.
It's actually fun. I do Mythic Pluses with my girlfriend every once in a while. She'd be like, "Come do this one."
Mhm.
Like I've actually done a lot more in the game outside of just PvP this expansion than I have the past two. So that's nice. I haven't enjoyed the game outside of that since like no, since Kata, I think it was. Yeah, Kata. I used to do everything, but yeah. Now I'm going back to just, oh, I want to play all these classes, or yeah, I want to do mythics, or I want to see the content, because all the Legion content I think it's really cool. So
Yeah, it's been very good so far. I guess another way to look at that question then, if you are someone who just likes PvP almost exclusively in the same way that, we joke about, oh, we PvP and we don't do PvP. I mean, are there PvE things that you need to do, or can you really get everything you need done with just doing PvP?
yeah, definitely the initial grinds. Like I mean, I guess you won't have to in 7.15 since the artifact knowledge will be there, but definitely at the start, everyone had to do like their Suramar questing. They had to do, get your third relic slot, get through all that stuff. I I did pretty much the entire Suramar zone, so I was constantly doing all the world quests, like doing everything I could to grind up artifact power at the beginning. But now it's at the point where everyone's almost at 34. They're gonna start you off with like artifact knowledge 15 if you want to have an alt. So grinding it up in PvP, you could actually do if you spam say rated battlegrounds. They actually give really good artifact power at this point. Like I think right now I get like 50k for the first win of the day, and then the next ones are like 25k. So I mean that's pretty good artifact power, and especially if your character's fresh, then you could also gain honor levels too. So you're just killing two birds with one stone at this point. So it's not as bad now as it was in the beginning, but I actually had a lot of fun in the beginning. I was pretty much exclusively doing PvE content before the expansion, or before the PvP season started, so that was fun.
Yeah, no, it's been pretty good, and I always like, it's again, none of these things are sort of mutually exclusive. You don't have to choose one or the other. And I think most people do play the PvE stuff, even if they're PvP focused, not necessarily the other way around. But I always liked having PvP players come in like my dungeons and raid groups, because they're good at avoiding stuff, right? They always seem to react faster, and they know not to stand and stuff. They've just got such good awareness of what's going on, because you really have to in PvP, because you get so much coming at you.
yeah, except for me. Oh my god.
Yeah, well, if you're tabbed out in the middle of a battleground, yes.
Oh,
you may not see bad things.
I don't know. I have like really bad ADHD, so that's why I think I do well in arenas, because there's always like something going on. So like as long as there's something for me to do, then I'm having a good time.
There's always a squirrel to chase there in those arena battles. You don't have to really play thing for like, any real long period of time.
yeah, exactly. I mean, like I actually like battlegrounds as long as I'm fighting and stuff. Like that's why I never liked rated battlegrounds as much, because random battlegrounds you can kind of just go out there, kill whoever you want. But rated battlegrounds, it's like, oh, okay, you're a hunter, sit at this flag and maybe do nothing this entire game while we win. It's like, okay, well, I want to kill someone. Like I want to contribute. Like I hate just sitting here and not doing anything. Or I mean, I don't know. Some dungeons are really fun. What was it? I did some PvE. What's that fight with the eyeballs? It's in Emerald Nightmare, where you have to like keep going around and killing stuff. I think it starts with an eye.
Yeah, Il'gynoth.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, with all the tentacles and all that stuff. Yeah, that's a fun boss. Yeah.
Yeah, that was sick. There was so much stuff to do. Oh yeah, I had so much fun doing that boss. I was running around. I was like screaming in the Discord. I was like, hell yeah, I'm killing this shit. Let's go. Like my girlfriend was looking at me. He's like, what? Why do you never this serious with PvE?
So, someone was asking too. What is your eye level right now?
886 right now.
886. Okay.
Oh wait, it says 884 equipped. Okay, my bad.
880 for equipped.
Yeah, 884 equipped. Dang, that's actually so much higher than I thought it would. It was just like, I swear, like 869 last week. So I had a big lucky streak.
I mean, and how big of a difference is that making in PvP right now?
Every 10 item levels is like a 1% stat increase, so it doesn't really make that much of one, but I mean it adds up. Like where I'm at right now compared to someone, if you're fresh 110, then you're going to be maybe 800 item levels. So I mean, then that 8% stats does add up, you know. So I think that's probably the extent of it. Eventually, the stats matter after a certain point, but you know, when everyone's at the same item level, it really doesn't matter too much having that 1%, 2% difference, you know.
Cool. I think he was asking what your not your eye level was, your P level.
Oh, the prestige level?
Yeah.
Let me check. Okay, my prestige is level 3, honor level 20. Okay, so I'm close to the max right there, I think. I think ever since they changed it 7.1 that you don't have to reset your honor talents to prestige, so now most people just you play enough arena, I think eventually it goes up, or you do enough creative battlegrounds. But I think the honor you gain from arenas is actually so slow. I think I gained most of it just doing like world quests when I was bored and doing RPGs.
Cool. And then Ollie was asking, about your UI and add-ons. So yeah, real quickly, what kind of add-ons? What add-ons do you use, or what do you do for your UI?
My UI is pretty much default. The only add-ons I use that actually have an impact in arena is one is called big debuffs, and it makes things like if you're trapped or someone's trapped, it'll show it over their character frame where their character portrait is.
Mm-hmm.
It shows the CC and the CC duration over there, and for all other types of crowd control. So that's what it does. And then the other one, it's called diminish, and it just puts diminishing returns on like next to the arena frames for people. So if they're trapped, like it'll show, okay, they can be full trapped again in this time. So these are the only add-ons I use right now outside of SCADA. But yeah, what Alvarez said is true. Not many players use non-standard UIs because you can't use them in tourneys. So everyone plays with like the default.
Can you use your add-ons in tourneys, I guess, or
no add-ons?
No add-ons either. So they really try and give everyone sort of like a level,
level
playing field there.
Yeah. So everything's pretty minimalistic. Like things that you could definitely go without. Like I have things like SCADA. Like I don't actually need that if I'm playing in a tournament. That's just like me. Just okay. I'm playing a game on live. I'm gonna argue with my teammate who got the most kicks that game.
Yeah, so Foxy says she's winning. Yeah, I'd never really thought about that either. What they do for these big tournaments, but it would make sense that they would just sort of go with the standard UI, no add-ons, just so it's kind of even across the board there.
Yeah, I mean, like you can still customize it because you're still able to use like UI scripts. Like I have one to make the default arena frames larger, but you're allowed to do like there's limits on what you can and can't do. Like some things like maybe hide your keybinds, make like you can make your UI look a bit prettier.
Right.
But I mean it's pretty limited. The rules are basically you can have any scripts as long as it doesn't automatically track something when an ability is used, I believe. So, like those diminishing returns things, you wouldn't be able to have that. Like anything that goes off when someone uses a cooldown or a timer. So every kind of timer you have to track in your head when you're playing in a tournament. So people use like stopwatch macros.
Yeah. And it looks like Foxy in the chat was asking about relic abilities. I don't know what specifically. I have to scroll up to see what she asked. Sorry, Foxy. Oh, she said, do they change for arenas or are they static to what they already are?
You don't get the bonus to that trait from your relic, but you do get the item level bonus from them. So PvP is all about the item level. Like your stats don't matter. It's just get the highest item level piece and you're good to go. So that's also how it is for the relic. So you can have the worst rate possible, but as long as it's high item level, it's going to be useful in PvP.
Cool. Well, it's very good. Well, unfortunately, I have a hard stop today, and since we don't have any other hosts really on, I think we'll call this a show here. But thank you so much for coming on, Dilly. And we'll have to get you on again. Maybe closer when 7.15 comes out. And you get a chance to look at those changes, have you back on, periodically, and just talk some PvP, because we really haven't done it any justice. In fact, I would dare to say that the last time we talked serious PvP was the last time we had you on the show, and I don't quite remember what that was. Sometime back in Warlords of Draenor.
Yeah, that was definitely quite some time ago. But yeah, no, that definitely sounds cool. Thank you for having me.
It is, and I can't believe we've 250 episodes. It's just sort of snuck up. But it's a one of those milestones. So, what better way to spend it than talking PvP and survival hunters?
the most unpopular things for the general public.
Exactly. So, yeah. So episode 300 in another 2 years when we reach that, we'll do it again. But no, thank you so much again. Really, really appreciate it. It's been fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and on that note, you have been listening to episode 250 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I'm Dark Brew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter.
And I'm Delirium from, I'm sorry. I'm Alexander from the chat room.
All right. Check us out on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, at our RSS feed to your reader. These links are available in the show notes. And if you have a question or topic you would like us to read on the show, email us at huntingpartypodcast@gmail.com or send us a tweet to huntingpartypod. And stay thirsty, my friends, and remember to drink your dark brew lager.
Dark Lady, watch over you, but also, Dilly, where can we find you? Like, do you have a Twitch channel or YouTube?
Okay, yeah. Should I just link them in the stream chat, or?
Well, for
I don't
audio.
think it lets you, but post
Yeah,
them.
okay, for audio. Okay,
You can link them in the chat, and we'll post them in the show notes, and I'll read them on the show in a second here.
Definitely just my Twitter, at SwordDilly. Anything like streaming, or if I ever do anything on YouTube, I just put it on my Twitter. So yeah, if you ever need to find it there, all the links are on my Twitter page, anything like that. So yeah, I think just my Twitter covers it.
Very good. At SwordDilly, SOAR Dilly, correct?
Yeah. Cool. Shout out to my sponsor. If they're watching, I hope not.
A life stealer, that's just the cost of being awesome sauce. A dues payer, a boss slayer, I rock out with my lockout. Cause I can jump shot, BM, MM, and SB. I can rock out any tree. Never worried about my threat, cause I've got FD and misdirect. Catching loose mobs in my tracks. I never miss, cause I am hit capped. Cause I'm the hunter, not the marked. I'm the fighter, not the spark. I'm the kiter, not the kite. I'll top meters every fight. Rating NK, dealing death. Just me, my gun, and my trusty bed. Now let's begin with Illidan, Osirian, and Gil'jadan, Magdamar, Asgalor, Gruul, Cthulhu, and Razorgore, Onyxia to Ragnaros. Which one have we killed the most? Kel'Thuzad to Malygos. We even killed the Kama's ghost. Feels like we're getting close, all that running has a ghost. Yarnsaron, Thorian, Sartharian, Magthuridon, Sapuron, Lucifer to Sulfuron, Archon, Amalon.